We often think of narcissists in terms of men, but you know what? Narcissist actually knows no gender, and female narcissists can just be as dangerous as their male counterparts. You're probably at a stage where you're in a trauma bond and you find it hard to break free. Well, I want to assure you that by the end of this video, I'll explain why it's so hard to break free, and I'll even give you the tools to strategize to make you break free from the trauma bond of the female narcissist. I'll even give you a free recommendation report as well to guide you on your steps and stages on your recovery. Saying that to an outsider, this might seem like such a simple decision, because at the end of the day, why would you want to stay with someone that's so arrogant, that mistreats you, very vicious towards you? But this is part of the reason why it's a trauma bond, and I'll give you a couple of the reasons why you're probably going through this and thinking it's so hard to leave this person. One, you have a fear of being alone. The problem is, narcissists are very skilled at destroying your social circles and isolating you. So you feel this sense of you're totally dependent on them, you're totally reliant on them, and it's part of the reason why you have this almost can't be independent without them. And this is actually something you need to pay attention to about yourself and your recovery. So this fear of being alone is one of the first reasons why you find it so difficult to latch out of the grip of the narcissist. You may also have a fear of reprisals, in the sense that you might be getting emotionally abused, anger towards you. You're afraid of the reaction you might get from this individual because they're unpredictable. You don't know sometimes what they can be capable of. So you probably have this fear as well. And then a side of you is probably holding out for change. Maybe if you do this to just help them change, or you just give them a bit of time, they could change. Unfortunately, I have to break it down to you, it is extremely difficult for them to change. And this is just something that's going to keep you in this toxic relationship for even longer. It's very difficult for them to change, it's very difficult for them to self-reflect, and to actually see and recognize with some empathy what they're doing towards you in terms of either emotional abuse or anything close to physical or sexual abuse. And also, to add to that, cognitive dissonance. You feel a sense of lying to yourself, believing that you wouldn't even stay with this person if they're mistreating you. And in a sense, you're tricking yourself in your mind to thinking they're not mistreating you when they actually are. So you've just been so reliant on them, in the sense that your brain has programmed yourself in such a way that this person can't be mistreating me, they still love me. And part of that trauma bond, you've tricked your brain into thinking that's real love, but it's not. It's actually a toxic relationship, and the chemicals that are going off in your brain is making you addicted to that. But really, it's a toxic relationship, and that cognitive dissonance can keep you even longer within that trauma bond. You need to recognize this and the importance of it. So one of the first strategies you need to consider when you've decided to leave the female narcissist is don't tell them you're leaving. I know this may sound counterintuitive, but at the initial stages, you need to not tell them you're leaving, because you need to be ready for anything once you tell them this. They might beg you, they might ask you to give them another chance, they might even start love bombing you again, and you will get manipulated back into the relationship. So once you've made up your mind, you need not to tell them that you're leaving. You can do this at a later stage, but in the initial stages, once you've made up your mind, do not tell them you're leaving. Ensure you have your support system with your family and friends intact, in place. Make all the necessary arrangements you need to put in place. But please do not tell them you're leaving, because you're very vulnerable at this stage, and they can very easily suck you back in, especially if you're still in a stage of recovery. So you need to be very careful with this, and to ensure that you do not communicate that you're leaving the relationship straight away, because they may panic and they can do anything. They might issue threats in different instances. I mean, every relationship is different and unique, but you need to be very strategic with this. Another thing you need to consider is your finances. You need to ensure that you're financially capable of protecting yourself when you're leaving. Either do you need to set up your own bank account? If you need to do that, then go ahead and do that. Make sure you have some spare cash with you in order to plan yourself ahead in regards to whatever it is you want to do. And also, you need to be all careful in the sense that you sharing anything with them in the house. Is there any gifts? You don't want to give them an excuse to have any leeway to get back to you or to demand something from you. So you need to very carefully consider all these aspects when you're leaving, and ensure you're in a financial position not to be handicapped or to be controlled as well, in regards to finances with the narcissist. Another very vital aspect is you need to make sure you have copies of your documents. Remember, especially if you're in a different country, it's absolutely illegal for someone to hold your passport. So you need to make sure that you have your documents handy. If you're in a situation whereby if you feel they're gonna hold on to your documents, you could make up something to say you want to fill in an application and you need your documents to fill something in. Just make sure you have all your documents handy, and anything like passports or anything that you need to leave, because this is another one of their abusive tactics, to have control of you, so that you're not able to move as you so please in regards to this. So please do remember this aspect of making a copy. And if you're enjoying this video so far, hit the like, subscribe and notification bell so you can always be notified of videos like this on YouTube. And it also helps the channel to reach out to more people like yourself, so we can help them in this community. Another thing you want to consider is you want to avoid arguing with them at all costs. You want to completely avoid this, because what their tactic and what they want to do is to have you belittled and to keep arguing with you, and they'll get a rush from this and an excitement in a sadistic way. And you want to just make sure you completely avoid that, to keep you going back into this cycle. You need to play very carefully the game that they do with this, and you need not feed their supply in a sense if you keep arguing back with them, because any attention is supplied for them, whether it's negative or positive. So you want to be very careful with that at the stages when you've made up your mind to leave, not to get in constant arguments with them. That's going to also drain your energy and your emotions, and it's just going to keep you in that cycle and that trauma bond. Another aspect you want to consider is you want to make sure you're absolutely locked out of everything. Whether you share laptops, any electronic devices, you want to make sure they don't have access to that to be able to track you. This is very important, because they will use this as a means of control to be able to monitor you and your movements. So you want to make sure you are absolutely locked out of everything, whether it's iPads, laptops, phones that are shared, or is it a WhatsApp, web WhatsApp that you're logged into online. You want to be very careful, because this is part of their spy tactics to keep a hold on you and to see whatever movements. You need to be a step ahead when it comes to this, and you really need to be strategic with all these advices I'm giving you in terms of tactics you can use to ensure you successfully leave this narcissist. So also check your devices for any trackers, anything you see that's funny. So without being over paranoid, you need to just make sure that you're checking everything to ensure you have a smooth exit. Another aspect you need to be careful with is their sub stories. You really need to be emotionally strong not to fall for this. And they might seem to emotionally blackmail you or manipulate you through this. You need to ignore their flattery, and you need to be really strong mentally to get yourself through this, because this is another one of their tactics they use to get you not to escape their trap. They might, be on the phone crying. They might say how much they can't live without you. They might even have suicidal threats if it's really extreme, and they might just think that you can't leave them and trick you into thinking because you love them so much, how can you leave them in this state? That is your empathetic side coming through. But you need to be careful. They use that strength you have against you. At this stage, you need to think about yourself, and you need to be strong, and you need to get yourself out of this trap, because at the end of the day, you also need to take care of yourself, and you can't completely live for the narcissist. You need to also find a way to report what's happened to you. If it's extreme, is it even domestic violence or something that's really terrible, and you need to report it to the police. I know there may be challenges with this if you're a male and you're reporting this, but you need to find ways and different channels where you can report this. Is it the legal system? Is it friends and family? Is it an alibi or a witness that you need? This needs to be documented somewhere, and you need to have some kind of documentation and a follow through and evidence of reporting whatever incident has happened to you that you've been mistreated by this narcissist. So you need to keep that in mind to have this reported, whether it's friends and family, like I said, or something within the legal system. So for instance, if say you're getting physically abused, you can report that to some network where there's some mental domestic violence abuse, where this can be reported and treated. Just make sure that it's documented. And remember, having all this on record will ensure you can have a case to put forward in future. Now, this is also a very important element of the process. You want to make sure you reconnect with your friends and families. You might have been cut off, you might have distanced them, you might have even fallen out with some of them due to the narcissist cutting you off, because this is something that they do. But at this stage, you need to absolutely swallow your pride, and your good friends will be able to take you back and show some level of understanding. They might not have a deep level of knowledge of narcissism, but they might suspect that something was not right, and they were looking for a way to help you, but they didn't know how. So don't be embarrassed to reach out to friends and family that you know love you. Reach out and reconnect with them. Have that support system with you for when you've left the narcissist, because you're gonna need every bit of support you can get, because this is not easy. It's not an easy decision, but it's the first major decision and major step in your recovery journey. So you need to make sure you're backed up with this, with your friends and family, to reconnect and make sure you reconnect with them. It's really important, because the narcissist may have turned you against them, and there's been fights, and people that you might have been close to for a while, all of a sudden they cut you off. This is part of their strategy, is to cut you off. So you need to start mending back these relationships, because they're the ones that are going to support you ultimately in your recovery journey as well, because they love you. And then obviously we've tried to reconnect with friends and families. Not everyone's going to be on your side, and that's life. So you need to use that as an opportunity to cut out any toxic relationships. They might even go as far as saying you're stupid, oh, they knew it, they were psychic, but they actually do not understand what you're going through. So you do not need that kind of toxic energy at this stage. All you need is absolute supportive, positive energy to get you out of this narcissist ordeal that you've passed through, because not everyone's going to understand, and some people might just be like, oh, just get over it. Do you know what I mean? Get over it and stuff, and not very empathetic to your situation. So use this as an opportunity also to reevaluate your relationships. Know who's not on your side, who's gonna not going to be an assistance to your recovery journey, because at the end of the day, you need to be thinking absolutely about yourself. You've been so empathetic to the narcissist through the course, however long the relationship was, but now it's time to think about yourself, your needs. It's time for you to, this might sound counterintuitive, but it's time for you to be selfish. You also need to be mentally prepared that this journey is not going to be linear. It's going to be a roller coaster with the narcissist. So you need to be prepared for that. The highs and lows, they might try to get you back. You might make some mistakes along the way, which is why your support network is so vital to your recovery journey. So you need to be very aware of this roller coaster and be ready for this as well. And you need to make sure you're putting yourself on the right path to your recovery with all the strategies I have outlined so far to guide you of escaping the trap of the narcissist. More so, very importantly, no matter how attached you are, you might still be trauma bonded and attached to them, but you need to throw away any gifts. This might be also a point of contact for them. If you've truly made your decision, I know how difficult it is to make that decision, but if you've made up your mind to leave, you need to also throw away any gifts, because this is a point of contact as well, and you need to clear it out of your body and your mind, because you're going through a process where you're renewing your mind, and you need to remove anything that reminds you of that connects you back to that person or your partner or individual, and you need to be very conscious and aware of that. So once you're ready, you need to then start getting rid of all that, because you need to refresh and you need renewed energy into your life, and which you also need to get with a supportive system, hopefully with your good friends and family that you've decided to keep to help you in your journey. So all in all, in order to avoid these kind of relationships in future, you want to be asking as many questions as you can up front. Don't plan the wedding just yet. Take your time. These things should happen gradually. This also leaves little opportunity for them to love bomb you. It should be natural and it should be gradual. Don't feel like you're being forced into any. Make sure you're still doing your hobbies. Make sure you're still seeing your friends. Make sure you're still seeing your family. Don't allow any of that to cut off, because at the end of the day, life is about balance. You need to still do the things that makes you as an individual that you're supposed to enjoy. Life is about balance. Spend time with your partner, spend time with your friends, spend time doing your hobbies, spend time with your family. And also, very importantly, pay attention to how your date treats others, because if they're treating others badly, you'll see it in their character. Pay very close attention to it. You might be in situations whereby you just even go for a dinner date and you see that your partner is very arrogant, the way they treat others, talking down on them and being like as if they're better than them. So you want to really pay attention to little subtle signs like that. How do they treat others? How do they think they're beneath them, or do they treat them like a human being? You want to really pay attention to that as well. So if you're trying to escape the trap of the female narcissist, you want to know where you are on your healing journey, click on the link down below to get a free recommendation report through a quiz to determine where you are, or if you're ready to heal and thrive from this kind of abuse as well. In case you also missed the episode on the signs of a female narcissist, you can check it out right here on this video up above. Click on the link and it will take you through all the signs to watch out for of the covert female narcissist.